Yo. How we doing? GachaHell has been released. Long time in the making. Feels kind of insane that it's out. Yo. Oh, I'm duplicated. Let me mute the stream. Sorry about that. Hey! My god, it's been in development for about 2 years. It actually started before my last game, Return to Castle Monkey Ball, and then I took a break to make that game, and then came back to make this game. So, it's been quite a long time. I'm glad you like Return to Castle Monkey Ball. I still like Return to Castle Monkey Ball. It's a fantastic little game. That game took like 2 weeks to make. Just a fun jam. This took a long time. Let me know if the audio is too loud or anything, or if my mic is too quiet. I have no way of knowing. Let me turn down the music and sounds though, at the very least. So I thought we might start here with some questions, if you guys have any, and then I'm just going to play the game a little bit, because I have crazy experience, and I'm probably the best player at this game. Where? White Bear where? Here you go, I got you. Let's see what I got. There you go. There's your bear. You happy? Shoutouts to Simple Flips. If you haven't already, please go check out the game on Steam. It's a 20% sale for the first week. It probably won't go on sale ever again, so please check it out. A lot of people have worked on it beyond myself. And even though I'm the sole developer and director of the game, I had help with a lot of stuff like UI, of course, art. Bobber, my, I would say, co-lead, did pretty much all the graphic art for the, art for the characters and UI stuff, but not actual UI design. That was done by Maple Java. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. Soundtrack by Sylvie, Princess Sylvie Sprit. A lot of different moving parts that went on in to make this game. Yo, that was seamless. I had to mirror myself because the mini-map's in the other corner, but we're gonna start out over here. Credits involved. Grunku did an amazing job on the logo. Shoutouts to Grunku. Yeah, I think we're just gonna get right into it. Wiggle. I have S rank on all of them because I'm insane. But, that's how it goes. I'm not gonna bother with the intro and tutorial and stuff like that. You guys can check that out for yourself. Bobber did a utterly spectacular job on the art involved in all of these things. So it's kind of surreal to have a game where I haven't really used any pre-existing assets, because usually I make, like, Return to Castle Monkey Ball, right? That's two existing games. So this is my first ever fully original, all assets are mine game. I saw a few questions about this from some people on Twitter. The level layouts are fully randomly generated, and so are the actual characters themselves. Like all the girls you see running around, they're all randomly generated from a tremendous amount of different assets, so that way they're unique every single time. You may see some updates in the coming weeks as I fix bugs that end up showing up. Hopefully there aren't really many at all, but, the inevitability of game development, especially on a scale that we're talking about here. they just slipped through the cracks. But it seems like I got most of them. Back to making more memes. That's a hard question. My style of content is not very popular in modern day. And the kind of memes that exist in the modern day don't elicit a lot of ideas sort of associated with them. Videos are kind of dead. Plus I'm a game developer, so that's just kind of how it is. I have a full-time job that keeps me pretty busy, but not saying that's not like there's not going to be any more videos. It's just it's not going to be any more consistent. It's going to probably be just as sporadic, though not nearly as once in a lifetime, I would imagine, if so. The Bear collab that came out not too long ago, probably the conversation topic of my last stream. The Bear collab was practically sunsetting that one because that took a long time. Shouldn't have, but a lot of factors went into that. So. Please enjoy the Bear collab. It's the best bear video ever made. A fever and level 2 on night 1 is not bad at all. Mugen, yeah. Godot. This game, as you know from the literal opening, it's a Unity game. I'm a Unity developer. I use that at work. I personally haven't messed with Godot at all because Unity works fine for me. Especially given the fact that my other time sink is VR chat, and I make content for VR chat all the time as well. So didn't really feel the need to double down, but I hope that goes well for you. And as for the question as to whether or not I've ever prototyped a game, sure, I've made tons of prototypes for game. I'm just saying this is the first ever fully commercial, finished, all original assets project that I've actually completed to this standard. I've never paid musicians thousands of dollars before, and artists with such an equity. It was quite an undertaking. Not doing great here right now. Such is GachaHell. GachaHell giveth, GachaHell taketh. I pushed that 1.1 update last night after I watched some streamer play. There was just a few things I tweaked. So, nothing too crazy, but we'll see in the future if I get anything more advanced as for changes and fixes and whatnot. I'm in a horrible place for a fever. Jeez. This is such a garbage fever. I don't think I'm getting S rank this time. Some pretty bad spawn RNG this time. That'll happen. If I can level up at least once today, we won't be at a total loss. But even that is seeming tricky. Wow. Yeah, this was a horrible floor. think the best I'm probably going to be able to get out of this was probably an A rank. L. Is there a chance of randomly generating Mio Honda to appear by pure coincidence? Nothing identical, but some inspired by, for sure, certainly. That seems fine. Typing on your cell phone. Someone asked whether or not this game is compatible with Steam Deck. Yes, it is. In fact, our UI artist played this game almost exclusively on Steam Deck while testing it, so it seems like that's a very yes. With that being said, I also do not own a Steam Deck, so I cannot personally validate those claims, but I will trust him. Definitely get a Steam Deck 2 if they make one, though. I don't like first generational hardware. Never have. Jeez. Okay, well, that'll make things a little easier. W. There we go. Love to see that. Much better. During one of our playtesting sessions early on in this game, one of our major playtesters named Seth Wyndham on Twitter got a 45 combo, I'm pretty sure it was. Just being a god gamer. So, try and beat that one. Take a screenshot if you somehow manage that. W. Much better night. This is insanely better. That might have redeemed the run slightly with that night, but we'll see. Yeah. Be curious to see how many people actually end up with the $1 million achievement. That one took an eternity to get when we were doing playtesting for the achievements. How many days did it take me? Well, because I have a full-time job, I only really ever worked on this game on Sundays. I worked on it every single Sunday. So if you were a friend of mine trying to get a hold of me on Sundays and I told you no, this is why. But like I said, so assuming, and then towards the end of development, it picked up and I worked on it much more than just once a week. But with that understanding that original timetable, the game took 2 years. But that's also accounting for a tremendous break that occurred, particularly for Return to Castle Monkey Ball. And then I returned back to work on this game, so total days a little bit harder to calculate, but total time since I created the Unity project to here in front of your eyes was 2 years. So if you were to add up all the days, I'm sure it would only be a couple months, I'll be honest. But with the amount of different people and moving parts involved in its creation, it sure felt like more than that. There we go. This is a much better combo. What was that, 37? 27? These double room layouts are just so beneficial. And another one. If you can exploit a good layout in this game, you will be greatly rewarded. Usually I tell people to keep moving. That's usually the best strategy. Huddling around the same rooms is usually a bad idea, just due to how the spawning works in the game. People think it's a good idea, but it's really not. It results in that behavior where you keep seeing people, and then by the time you get there, they're already gone. You want to keep moving, but those big room layouts are fantastic. Well, let's see how we did. No, there's no 1-2 oatmeal references in this game, unfortunately. First try S rank. I will hear no complaints. None. 0 complaints. Use this as a tutorial on how to get S rank. It was really easy. How advanced is the NPC AI? That's an interesting question. So there's a few different types of AI, right? So I mean, the whole AI pattern in this game is based off of a very simple agents concept called seekers and fleers, or whatever it is. There's a proper term for it, and I've utterly forgot it. But there are 2 categories of AI behaviors that can spawn in the world. There are people who just are like essentially vibing and do not pay you any attention no matter what you are or what you're doing. And even if they're higher level than you, they're never going to chase you. Then there's another type that is more of a reaction type of AI that if they're higher level than you, they will attempt to go after you, and they will be usually flaming with the red fire. And if they're lower level than you, they're going to run away from you. And you see that behavior with a little bit of the fleeing that goes on. Those are the major 2 types of AI. The third type, which is far more niche, as you might imagine, is the rival type. If I call them hunters, that's because that's what they're called in the code. So, pardon me for that language, but that's what that means. But the rivals are just a very specific type of AI that only ever simply path finds to you directly. Very straightforward. There's a lot of edge cases and exceptions. There's some very organic waiting behaviors and locations they like to gather around certain key places. So I would say the AI is reasonably advanced. It's nothing insane. It's not going to smell you. It's not going to hear you. But it certainly has a lot of thought going on in its brain. If that clarifies. Good question, though. Thank you. I'm not doing excellent on this first night, but that's usually how that goes. First night is probably always going to be the most dependent on the RNG, but hey, that's good. That means if you really suck and want to restart the run, really easy to do so. Here's a feature nobody seems to have noticed. Press escape to pause the game, and you can just auto quick restart, or you can go back to the main menu. You don't have to just kill yourself, like I saw a few people doing. Do you recommend the game? Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to... I've played the game so much because I made it, so... You know, my opinion of whether or not the game is fun is kind of irrelevant, just because I have such thorough experience with this game that my brain has sort of a neutral appearance to it. But I certainly still think it's fun to play. It's a simple little game. A lot of people say that game mode 2 is highly addicting, so I've been really surprised by that feedback. People really like game mode 2. You can thank the artist, Bobber, for the large variety of AI looks. We both spent a tremendous amount of time creating an enormous amount of variants of every part of the outfits with my incredibly modular system to generate things. Having to design the outfits and then make the different variants for eyes, mouth, hair, and then everything, and then color shift things dynamically so that they matched appropriately. Oh man, it was kind of a headache, but I think the results speak for themselves. Turned out quite lovely. Having tight rules and restrictions on the types of fashion is a rather tricky thing to do. Also purely because I have absolutely no fashion sense whatsoever. So, that was particularly hard. W. Oh yeah. Trying to get another one at this rate. If only I had the ring of combos. That I definitely would have gotten another one if I had the ring of combos. In macho mode, your combo hold potential is slightly lessened. Mostly a balance question. particularly given the fact that only level 1s spawn in this game mode. It didn't make any sense. Balancing games like this, particularly things like the item shop and stuff like that, is such a difficult thing. You learn that pretty easily. The second you start making items with different abilities and stats, you're down a rabbit hole already. Good enough. Total idle genocide. Are there outfits related to their level? That's a good question. No. The rivals have exactly one outfit they can appear in because we wanted them to be visually distinct so they'd be really easy to identify. Of course, beyond the flames, but you know. Only they have unique outfits. Did 𝐼𝐸 do anything? Contribute to anything in the game? Yes, 𝐼𝐸 did all the UI. If it's a UI in the game, 𝐼𝐸 drew it. Bobber only handled characters and the cutscenes and animations and stuff like that. That was all Bobber. If it's a drawing, Bobber probably did it. If it's a graphic, like the posters, the icons, the squares of the HUD, it was 𝐼𝐸. And if it was not any of those things, it was unfortunately me. And I'm not an artist, so I deeply apologize. I tried my best. I'm not an artist. I'm such a bad artist. At work, almost everything I make has to be audited by like 4 people just because it looks like crap. Even if it works, great. So I appreciate how positive the response has been about the visual style of this game, even accounting for my, I was close, inability to produce visually appealing games and graphics. Unfortunate. We're not doing phenomenally for level 4. Could be doing better. But alas, that's how it is. Oh, and there's actually one more type of AI behavior that is unique to this particular game mode, which is the ambush concept. That's essentially whenever a new room is loaded. So essentially you've crossed the boundary from a room that was previously concealed in shadow. What occurs is it will attempt to essentially bring the rivals or a bunch of random AI into that room to quote-unquote ambush you. There's like a couple second cooldown before they're allowed to move and chase you, which should give you enough time to do something about it, but yeah, that's the only other thing, I think. Oh, come on. How did I not get a fever? I wasn't picking up that money because I was so certain I was gonna get a fever there, so I was like, oh, it'll all come to me. Let's leave. Yeah, no, the rivals. Okay, so the rivals were probably one of the hardest things to develop for me, mainly because of what they were supposed to be. Like, they're legitimately supposed to be an enormous threat that you don't want to mess with. And what the mini game that was involved with that struggle looked like changed so many times in development. Completely over, like, new games entirely, because we were trying to get the balance of, we wanted it to be fair, but also, essentially the conclusion we came to is any option in which there was skill involved in it meant that you could consistently win. And when you could consistently win against the rivals, they were completely unthreat. Like there was no threat at all. They were non-threatening. So eventually I got some inspiration when I went through a peggle kick for the coin flip. And that ended up working pretty well, I think. It results in them being, at any level, a great threat. Their pathfinding is set up in a way to be particularly predictable. They will always try to attempt to go to your last location. However, once they've been traveling on a line for long enough, they will automatically reroute themselves, which is why sometimes you will see them change direction mid-movement and start trying to corner you. Most of the time, you can swoosh them pretty consistently in rooms. You can go right around them. But sometimes, if that timer lines up properly, you can get absolutely jump scared. It's just minor things like that that I think make the rivals in particularly threatening. Also, no, I'm definitely not an artist. You have not seen any art I have attempted to make other than this, and this was heavily... If it wasn't for the fact that there's some serious copyright issues, I would show you guys earlier versions of the game before I brought on artists. Ugh. Ugh. You don't want to see those. You simply don't want to see those. Yeah, Bobber single-handedly made this game something worth looking at with human eyes. So, thank him greatly for that. I don't know if we got S rank. Felt a little tight. I didn't do fantastically. I didn't get that many fevers. I didn't collect very much money because I never got the ring of attract or the ring of combos. So we'll see how we did. Cheese to see the new release. I'm cheesed as well. No, yeah, I didn't collect nearly enough money to get A rank. I mean, sorry, S rank. Close though. Close though. Ooh, only I know what numbers will give you S rank every single time. Ooh, spooky. Really just gotta grind for the achievements, which Bobber and I both brainstormed what actual garbage we wanted for the achievements. Hopefully, if the game continues to sell, please go check it out on Steam. It helps a lot. But if it continues to get sales, we'll get to the point in which it's officially recognized by Steam, which means that we'll be able to put it like on your profile and stuff like that for the achievement icons and be able to make other things for you to enjoy on your profile. Bobber wants to draw more of these characters, but he's unable to unless the game gets to a certain level in Steam. So if you want to see more Flo, Macho, and Jade, please support the game. It's on a 20% sale right now. Probably won't ever be on sale again. Please go check it out. Link is in the description. Should be. I don't know how YouTube streaming works. I don't stream. Bear with me. This is a horrible fever. That was abysmal. Jade mode is probably my favorite out of the 3 modes, just because I think the hectic nature is a lot of fun. It's very unpredictable, and things are constantly speeding up and slowing down. Also, the lack of the elevator shop makes it a little bit less, I don't know, I guess you would say a little less... It interrupts the flow. That's what I meant to get at. No pun intended. But with that being said, clearly, far and away, people like Macho Mode the most, so... Whatever makes you guys happy. Enjoy. Ring is that? Is that combos? That'll be useful for tomorrow. Assuming it doesn't get replaced almost immediately. Soundtrack goes hard. Yes. Yes, it does. Soundtrack goes very hard. I worked pretty closely with Sylvie, the composer, on the OST, which you can also buy on Steam. And also their own Bandcamp. Pick whichever one you'd like. The Steam version has high quality FLACs available as an option, because I am an audiophile nut. So I made sure that those have really nice meta encoding set up, so that way, like if you're using FooBar like I do sometimes for music, or just having the soundtrack downloaded on your phone, all the graphics and metadata will be correct. I really enjoy when music is well formatted like that, so I ensured that was the case. GachaHell taketh. This day has been going horribly. That'll help. Please do not leave the rooms yet. There we go. Some people also asked about this. You can also just hit E to open a door and not boost. People asked me whether there was a way to do that, but that leads me to believe that no one actually reads the controls, so... That's the game development frustration. You paid money for a video game and then didn't read anything that it told you and are confused. Classic. Classic. That was a horrible day. I don't know how many different room potentials there are. Haven't done that calculation. It would be very difficult to do that purely just because of how many rules and exceptions occur in the generation algorithm. Some rooms are not capable of opening in certain directions, which makes that permutation incredibly hard to calculate because it's not constant. You couldn't just do a number of rooms times a number of spots or something like that. We are so back. Barely made it to that one in time. Yeah, there's like a 0% chance I get S rank on this, just purely based on the fact that I'm probably not going to level up today. I think that would mathematically make it impossible to S rank. Unless I go hard right here. That would be pretty cool. Decently hard. I doubt there's enough people left in the level for me to level up today, though. That would seem rather unlikely. Yeah, no, not even close. Okay, well. RIP S rank. Who were those urinals for? There are producers in the idol building, potentially. Use the idol master concept. My only comment on that. It was not because I forgot and then already made the model and went fuck it. That is absolutely not what happened. Make your own theories. This is not a great layout. Most of them are spawning in areas that are pretty darn inaccessible from me, which is not ever conducive to a good run. Such is the life. I think the ultimate layout would be one that has the lounge, the double wide lounge with the TV icon, connected to the double wide gym. The one with the practice mirror. That would be an insane combination for total potential. It's actually possible. This would be incredibly rare, but due to how the algorithm works, it is actually possible for nothing to spawn in the middle if enough room layouts that have no exit on those sides spawn in. So if you see one of those, let me know. You have a very rare layout. Damn. I Nice. I could have saved that if I had leveled up, but unfortunately no. What does your mom think about the game? My dad bought it and bought an Xbox controller this morning to try to play it. My mom cannot play video games because she's like in the hospital. So I'll let you know. My brother played it though. My brother actually managed to beat the game. He got much better very quickly at the game. He started off pretty rough, but he actually showed improvement very quickly. Warmed my heart. Oh, as for your question, about the mechanics and stuff, there's tutorials that are in the game and you're supposed to watch them for the first time. Actually, you're forced to watch them for the first time, and they're great little tutorial videos with some great exclusive music. I've just already played the game, so it allowed me to skip the tutorials, and I did. But on your first time playing, you will see them and they will explain everything in great detail. So do not worry about that one little bit. Actually, the tutorials are actually the conversation of a bug that showed up last night on someone's stream, so hence the patch. I may or may not have noticed another bug while playing this game that I will probably patch after this stream ends, but don't worry about it. You can honestly just playtest games for the rest of your life and you will continue to find issues and bugs and polish problems. Games literally can never be finished. It's not possible. But with that being said, I made sure that this game was as bug-free as is physically possible. We spent an entire month just doing playtesting to find issues with recordings to make sure that the game was bug-free, because I am not a game developer who releases a broken game and then tries to fix it 3 months down the road. So if there is anything, it just slipped through the cracks, and that's our bad, but that'll happen. It's also not connected to a server, so you own the game, it's yours forever, and you will never have it removed from you. Enjoy. Yeah, we're not getting S rank, but I'll probably take an A rank. Mostly bug-free. Mythic time in game development. When the game you bought was complete. That would have been an S rank if I had leveled up last night. That sucks. I'll take an S and 3 A's. That'll do. That will do. If that was your first time playing that mode as well, it would have played the ending of the game, which I skipped because I've beaten the game, but yeah. Highly recommend checking it out. I'll play one of the, if you've never seen the game before, I'll play one of the intro and tutorial things just so you can see what those are like. Spot the beta assets in the outdated trailer videos. I mean, well, actually, both the trailer and the tutorial. Minor things changed before launch that we tried to keep to a minimum, but there are some things in these videos that are slightly different from final release. So keep an eye out for those if you're one of those people. Yeah, there was just a weird bug that hopefully I've patched where sometimes the next clip just wouldn't play and it would get frozen. Whatever. I mean, it seems like it's not happening anymore, but hopefully it never happens again. Incredible cutscenes courtesy of Bobber. These are not actually video files. The intro video and the ending are video files, same with the tutorial, but those are actually just a program that I created for the game that let me like animate little title cards, almost similar to that of like the GTA cards, like when you're waiting for the game to load. We took inspiration from like the Super Smash Bros. Like Banjo-Kazooie trailer thing, though we didn't have any parallax because that would have been way, or parallax is the wrong word, like sort of the 3D bending warping effect that they used. Mainly because they're not, like, that's something that you would really want to do in a video editing software like After Effects or whatever, whereas these are actually in-game sprites, like the character sprites and the background sprites and the layers are all independent, and they're just being played in sequence accurately as like a little cutscene. So they're truly in-game, which is why they look a lot higher fidelity, and that's because it's just raw sprites, as where the other ones are compressed video files, and that's because they had to be, just due to some of the movements going on. But it's really unfortunate, honestly. That old-timey effect I picked bit me in the ass, because I wanted to go for the old-timey aesthetic for the tutorial because I thought it would be really funny. But what that meant was that the bitrate on the video files had to be really high, otherwise it smushed with all of the film grain. And so the video files, the tutorial, are enormous compared to what they should be. We had an optimization expert take a look at things and do what they could to make it as small as possible without harming any of the actual visual effect. But by the time the music was already completed, the room had already been modeled. By the time that it was time for the videos to be included, there was nothing we could do about changing the style. I am getting my ass kicked. So unfortunately, I would say a good, I don't know, 40% of the entire game's file size ended up just being the videos from the opening and the opening, ending, and tutorial. The rest of the game is actually quite small. The music is the other major percentage. The game itself, with no music, none of the videos associated with it, is actually very small. But You know, that's just how it is. Everything else has been super compressed. For work, I work on VR games, and so we spend a lot of time with optimization. But only can do what you can do. Took quite a beating on that one. Actually gonna have to probably buy a heart. Let's see if we can do better today. I really just wanted to play some GachaHell with you guys, just to sort of show it off, given the fact that the trailer doesn't really show as much gameplay as I think it probably could have. So after this run, I'll probably end the stream. Just feel like I've played a few rounds, one of each. You know, if you like what you see, please once again go check it out on Steam. 20% sale right now. It will never be on sale again. I promise you. And if it is, it would be extraordinary circumstances. Everyone involved with their various respected fields, like, you know, music and art, are receiving their fair share. So if you want to support any of the artists and composers who worked on this game, please go pick up a copy. Even if you don't like me as a person, consider me Mr. 1-2 Oatmeal. The artists who worked on this are far more deserving of your time. So please, go check it out. This is an okay fever. Usually, if it doesn't get to 20, I'm pretty disappointed. Yeah. It was going well, it ended up dying there. Once again, record to beat is 45. If you get more than a 45 fever, send me a screenshot. Up until, I would say, literally the last few days of development, before the game went gold, there was a bug in the game where sometimes a coin would drop out of the idols that was just extraordinarily large. And no matter what I did, it became like a running gag with the beta testers, because I literally every single update did something to try to patch it, and then it seemed like it worked, and then it still somehow ended up in the build. So it became like a reoccurring, you know, Herobrine removed type gag, big coin removed, and yet it was still there and it persisted. So big coin is a pretty funny meme amongst the developer team, because it literally wouldn't go away no matter what I did. How's the speedrunning scene? Hasn't been started yet. If you're feeling so inclined, I encourage you to attempt. There is an in-game timer. It keeps track of your in-game time. It tells you what your time is at the end of the night, so you're more than welcome to speedrun it. I am playing for rank right now, not necessarily speed. So those two things are tangentially correlated. So in a way, it's still technically kind of speedrunning. I mean, I guess it's a speedrun for S rank, but if you're going purely for the in-game timer, this would not be the way to do it. I was really happy that a lot of people did speedruns of Return to Castle Monkey Ball, though that game I think took less brain power than this game. So maybe that was potentially more valuable for speedrunners. I don't know. Developing for VR versus traditional formats? A lot of things. So particularly right now where we're at in the VR industry, obviously the most popular and the only profitable VR platform in the world is still going to be the MetaQuest, Facebook's headset. And because of that, that has to be most of the time the minimum target spec for a VR game. And that's essentially an Android phone, right? So one of the main technical challenges with VR, right, is people are expecting this photoreal, immersive virtual reality experience, yet they're using what is essentially a phone strapped to their face for processing power. Slightly more than that, but you know what I mean. It's not that far removed from a phone strapped to your face, at least right now. When the Quest 3 comes out, we might finally be past that point. But there's not a lot of performance. And so I would say one of the major differences between this and VR development by far is the amount of time and attention you have to give to optimization. Now, I personally believe that every game should have a large amount of time spent to optimization. That's not something you see a lot from the AAA industry these days. They will send you a 256 gigabyte game and not care whatsoever. But it's really especially important for VR that that's the case. And there's some pretty cutting edge techniques, things like foveated rendering that utilize eye tracking that are coming out now amongst the new generation of headsets. That is mandatory as we start getting more graphically demanding in our games. That's probably the major difference. Of course, there are some inherent differences. Like, for example, you know, you're dealing with things like the stereo nature of VR requires different kinds of shaders and associated asset differences, I guess would be a good way of saying things. But I think you were mostly asking about the design and planning time involved. Playtesting is actually way easier for VR because VR controllers benefit from the same thing that the Nintendo Wii did, and using your hands is actually really intuitive. Who would have guessed? It's almost like you're a human and you have like many years of your life spent as a human. So the idea of saying, hey, your hands are the controllers is actually a pretty intuitive thing. So old people or even non-gamers tend to have a much better time with VR games than something like this, which is a very arcadey, very reflex, precise type experience. So playtesting something like this is actually much more difficult than VR. People usually get VR a lot faster. And so that was, at least for me, a big allocation difference, having to spend more time on introduction. I think the playtesters will tell you, actually, for practically the entire existence of the game up until like the last few revisions, the playtesting builds that I sent out to playtesters had a PDF included with it, just explaining how to play the game before the tutorial was made, because it was just too much to understand at first. It needed graphics, it needed imagery, and especially the controls. The controls were actually redone and simplified pretty close to release as well, because there was too many buttons. Making everything work with space was pretty good decision, I would say. Of course, you could still just use E to exit a room if you don't want to even risk the chance of accidentally boosting. That's always a possibility. But I think it's more in line with the controller layout than anything. I'm playing with a keyboard right now because it's convenient, not because I particularly think it's better. In fact, I think you can probably get better, more finite control with a controller, and I would honestly suggest using a controller for this game, but I figured this was easier for me. Like I said, one of our main our main UI artist, Maple, played this game almost exclusively on his Steam Deck, so I am fairly confident that the controller support is to at least a pretty solid bar. Get out of here. Ah. That one guy's allowed to live. Hopefully you enjoy it. Sitting and standing? Oh, that's a great question. So, as somebody whose main responsibility at my job was working, or still is to a certain extent, on the player controller, given our particular target audience, sitting and standing has been a really weird thing. We have some automated systems in place, some not. Like, for example, if you crouch really low on the ground, it'll ask you, because it's a social platform, so it's okay, but it'll ask you if you're sitting, and if you want to swap, and you can just hit no, and it'll ignore it. And if you are sitting, and you reach over a certain height, it just assumes you stood up. Not great for extremes, but it covers most cases, and of course you can just go in the settings and manually change it if it auto-changed on you improperly for some of those extreme cases where you might be sitting in the tallest chair in the entire world. Bone Lab, the game by Stress Level 0, handled sitting and standing mode pretty well, I think. Their manual crouching system using the thumbstick, I still think is one of the better implementations I've seen. Half-Life Alyx, if you go into the settings, you can enable, like under the accessibility options, you can enable a manual crouch toggle. I don't know why that's not standard in the game. That just seems a whole lot better to me than moving your body. I have full body tracking. I use full body tracking every day for VR, and I almost will never play VR chat or any game like that without my full body tracking. So I love the full body presence, but most people don't actually exist within their play space and move around a whole lot. Like, I don't turn in real life, and that's not because of the cable or anything. I just genuinely find it more practical, much more responsive, just turning using my thumbstick. So, the idea of crouching in real life when there's a very easy possibility of just hitting a button and crouching seems utterly absurd, but that's just my opinion on it. Of course, that also benefits from the index controllers that have that touchpad, for Half-Life Alyx's case, to benefit from that, though I'm sure you can rebind it, but nothing else has a touchpad. Though even Valve rarely even uses that touchpad. Sort of antiquated from the old Vive ones, back when that was a major staying thing. Of course, I had a Vive, the original Vive. I feel like it's taken us way too long to get good VR controllers. The index controllers took way too many attempts, I feel like, before we got to them. And even then, they have issues. Sadly, it's Bradley, the YouTuber has been covering a lot of information about Valve's patents and things. And it seems like they've thought about a lot of the problems with the current index controllers and are hopefully sorting them out. So, you know, patents do not mean products, and Valve has not announced anything, so take that with a grain of salt. Actually eating the idols, or is it a metaphor? Okay, so the whole joke of the game from the opening video is how in gacha games, when you get a whole bunch of units, A rank, yeah, not enough money. In gacha games, when you get a whole bunch of units, you roll lower star units most of the time, and you feed them metaphorically to your stronger units to level them up. And so I thought it would be really funny if that was the whole joke of the game, where you were physically feeding your weaker unit to make him make them a stronger unit. I thought that would be a pretty funny game if it was combined with a concept like Feeding Frenzy. And yeah, here we are. Hi, Twash. Hello. Hi. So, no, it is not actually eating, but it is also actually eating. It's just virtual. It's a metaphor, but also you're doing it. So, you know, up to you how you want to interpret that. Catching everyone is not the goal of the game. It's like Feeding Frenzy. You just want to get to 5 stars as fast as possible. You have to do it. You can only eat people the same level and under as you and continue to level up. Yeah, the opening video played at the beginning. I skipped past it. I might be able to reboot the game. I don't know. We'll see. There's some of the achievements. They're great. A lot of references in these. Yeah, no. The ending of the game, which you'll see if you beat the game for the first time, mixed with the opening, I think tells a small commentary on what we think about gacha games. The game's called GachaHell because we're kind of, in some ways, making fun of it, but, you know, don't play gacha games. I played Symphogear XDU, and they fucking deleted that game after 2 months. Don't play gacha games. On moving in game and standing still IRL, disorienting. Funny. I mean, it's a practice thing, right? I mean, the joke we used to say early on in the sort of era of VR headsets coming out was that you needed to get your VR legs, like your sea legs, that if that metaphor is applicable. It takes some time to get used to it, and once you're finally able to do it, you're good. I'm glad we as an industry have decided that teleporting is the dumbest idea ever made, and if you use it, stop. You're ruining video games. Smooth locomotion is by far and away better. It takes some getting used to. I know some people get really disoriented by it, but I think that's more to do with the refresh rates and lens distortion of modern day headsets, particularly if you have to wear glasses or contacts for a VR headset. Oh, wait until diopters become standard issue in VR headsets, or more complicated lens matrices that use polarizers and stuff like that to actually adjust prescriptions. Varifocal optics is what that's called. I very poorly explained that, but those are becoming out, I would imagine, as that tech gets better in the coming decade. That's a big window, I know, but we don't know. So, I think that's the majority of the cause for smooth locomotion stuff, but ultimately, smooth locomotion just makes a lot more sense. I'm a Boneworks fan. I'm sorry. All my opinions about how VR should work come from Boneworks because they just nailed the physical presence in the world. So pretty much every single one of my answers for how something should work in VR is going to be, look what Stress Level 0 did. They know what they're doing. Brandon is a modern day John Carmack. Brandon is doing for VR what John Carmack did for the first person shooter and PC gaming as a whole, I would say. They are leading the charge. Bone Lab was a bit of a stumble, but I think that was because it was supposed to be just a bunch of mini games made for the Quest, and they decided to stretch themselves a little bit thin and squeeze in a campaign. It feels like that, at least. A bit of a stumble there. I don't think Bone Labs is better than Boneworks, at least in level design and layout. But the polish is there. The avatar customization is there. It's really interesting. The SDK tools are half-baked, but such is life. They're doing some cool things. I'm looking forward to what they do next, even if they stumbled a little bit. Don't talk to me about throwing down money on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I own like every Yu-Gi-Oh card. At least original Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I can't stand Yu-Gi-Oh post like 2004, but if we play OG format, I forget what that's called. I've seen it like Time Wizard format and also like the GOAT format, I think is what they call it. That's really fun to play. I can't stand post 2004 Yu-Gi-Oh cards. They're absurd. But I have like practically everyone from the original anime's decks. I have Joey's deck, I have Yugi's deck, I have my Pegasus's deck completely recreated. Some of them are not great because the cards don't work the same, but this is a hell of a tangent. I apologize. Yes, GOAT format, thank you. This game costs $3 right now because it's on sale for 20% off, so please go buy it. It will not go on sale again, and it will go up to $5. So please check it out. Yeah, the sea legs concept, I think, has been the golden example people gravitate to. Well, this has been fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. I'm going to be spending tomorrow going to my local music store and potentially buying a large form analog synthesizer, so yeah. I'm learning how to play keyboard and piano, but getting the right equipment has been more fun for me. I'll be honest. I'm an equipment person. I collect retro games, but I buy consoles. I don't actually buy the games because I just like hardware. So follow me on Twitter at Nicorita if you want to see pictures of my synthesizers that I buy. This game will fuel my horrific addiction to equipment. Thank you. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. Please check it out. I'm going to probably end off the stream here. If there's any more questions you have, I'm always on my Discord. I think the link is probably in the description for my Discord, or you can just ask me on Twitter. If you make any fan art of any of the characters in this game, send it to me immediately. I will love you. That was honestly my two major metrics for success in this game. It is, if anybody outside of the development team makes fan art of this game, I will consider it a success. We worked so hard to make the characters lovely. I love them all personally, but if anyone loves them enough to make fan art of them, I will be utterly floored. So, what's my time? 3 minutes, or that's 3 seconds, isn't it? Yeah, that's a bugged time from doing debugging. That's not possible. I'd love to see you try beating the game in 3 seconds. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will stream again in 1,000 lifetimes and Co the Rat W. Alright, see y'all. See if I can turn this off properly. Thanks for watching. Yeah!